Good morning and welcome to the Brown Bag Business Chat. Today I am so excited to have Matt Cromwell, the brand ambassador and head of support with WordPress, fellow advanced WordPress admin, and all around amazing, awesome guy, join us today to talk about one of their newest plugins, Give for WordPress. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do over there at WordPress and what makes you guys unique and special?
Cool. Thanks, Heather. Thanks for having me on. Really excited to be on the Brown Bag because you're doing cool stuff on the Brown Bag. Give, yeah, what's special about what we do? What I really like about what we're doing at WordPress is basically I feel like we're hitting a really good niche in terms of doing really high quality plugins with high quality support. I've been around the plugin industry for a long time and WordPress for a long time, and I feel like the plugins that really stand out are the ones that have a good team behind them, and that's what we're really trying really hard to do. And I feel like that so far so good. So and that's WordPress in general. It's been great. I really like it.
Awesome. And so let's dive right in. So today we're going to be talking about your plugin Give. And anyone who's watching live right now, if you have questions as we're chatting, I will try to look for those on Twitter and not get too distracted. You can use the hashtag BBBchat to send your questions for Matt, and I will relay those to him. But start us off by telling us what Give is. Hopefully we've got some people out there that are either nonprofits or marketing folks that help nonprofits. So tell us what Give is and how you see your customers using it.
Yeah, Give is basically the most robust and easiest way to do donations online. That's what we intended to make, and so far we feel like we're really doing that really well. It's a donation platform. It's focused primarily on having a donation form that is based on best practices for online giving, and being able to allow you to have as many forms as you like, and to be able to add on and have more robust features to it to suit any kind of campaign that you're trying to do with your nonprofit organization. That's it in a nutshell.
And what was the inspiration for creating this plugin? Was there any kind of backstory, or did y'all just see a need in the industry? Because it seems like this is a biggie for you guys. Y'all have put a lot of effort into building it and creating a community around this and supporting the product. So is there any background to why this is such an important plugin for WordPress?
I think it's important to WordPress because it was really important to both Devin and I personally. Devin worked before I came on board. Devin worked a lot with nonprofit clients, specifically through an agency called SoundPress, and we still work with them pretty regularly. And they're a great WordPress-based agency, and they work almost exclusively with nonprofits. And every time they would ask Devin to build out a nonprofit site that it did donations, it was always a real pain. So the very first thing that he tried to do was that basically nonprofits, when you want to do online giving, you don't want to go through like a shopping cart system. You don't want to like add your donation to a cart, then end up being at a checkout place, and then finally finalizing your donation. That makes a lot of sense when you have a lot of products. You want to add products to your cart and all that kind of thing. But with a donation, you're just like $50, I'm done. That's what you want to do. And so there was no way to really do that with WooCommerce, for example, or EDD. And so the first thing Devin did was he built the extension that we also have called Quick Checkout, which basically allows you to do a checkout directly on the page with WooCommerce immediately. And that was his way of kind of getting around this problem that WooCommerce had with trying to act like it does donations. When I was freelancing, I also basically every time we had to do donations, I ended up doing either WooCommerce and just being like, this is just how it is, or I would do a simple Gravity form. And Gravity Forms is excellent with a lot of things, but with donations, you kind of miss some of the more robust reporting features that you need in order to track your donations and stuff. So it was always, to me, it was always like, well, there's just really not a good solution out there. And so then when Devin and I both came together, we were like, well, let's do something that we want to see happen, and that we are passionate about and we have a lot of experience with. And that's where Give came from. That was the idea. We're like, this is a big rubbing point that has plagued us both for years. Let's kill it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know it may be a little early to ask this question, but with the reporting that you have available and knowing that you've both done work with WooCommerce or just with a simple Gravity form, do you have any data that shows that people are able to collect more when they reduce the number of steps that WooCommerce would, force users to go through, or anything like that actually shows that people can get more donations through a simplified process?
Yeah, we don't have any case studies in terms of here's a nonprofit that went from a WooCommerce hacked system to our Give system. We don't have any use cases like that. We are trying to gather those, and we're actually going to do that a little bit through SoundPress, because we're still working with them. And but there is lots of data available about best practices with online giving. And one of the most important principles they always say with online giving is keep your donors on your page. Keep your donation form as simple as possible. Right. So that's basically, WooCommerce doesn't allow for that. Even with quick checkout, it's just a little bit of a different process, but Give does. So ideally, principally, that difference is already there.
That's awesome. And I like the point of keeping people on your site, because I know, and there's probably a lot of things you can talk about with some of the popular fundraising sites, but one of the disadvantages is that you have to send people away. You no longer have control over that experience that they're having, or being able to keep them on your site for a number of reasons that you may want them to stay there even after they've given a donation. So I think that's a really interesting point, that the data shows that that's really important to keep them on your site.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about just kind of how Give compares to traditional fundraising sites, besides just having the control of keeping people on your site, being able to collect the data that you need to collect. What are some of the other differences in that experience for both the nonprofit organization and for the person who's donating?
Yeah. I think the biggest difference is if you're not using a WordPress native solution like WooCommerce or Give or Gravity Forms or whatnot, then you typically are using a third-party system that maybe integrates into your site in one way or another, or like you said, you have to kick them over somewhere else. The difference is and this is kind of more of like a general WordPress thing. The one reason why people love to work with WordPress is control. They love to be able to have finite control over their website, so that they know that, oh, I needed to do this, I needed to do that, I needed to look like this. You can customize it down to the last pixel to make sure it looks exactly the way you want it to look, and that it functions basically exactly the way you want it to function. When it comes to a third-party system, you don't have those options. They don't provide limitless flexibility, and you have to, if you want to deal with their reporting tools, you're just going to have their reporting tools, and that's how it's going to go. And the data is always over there instead of on your website. So there's several really good third-party systems like Donately. They're actually local here in San Diego, and we know them. They're great people. Brian Monson is a friend of ours, and Donately is an excellent service, and they do a really good job. It's a really great team over there of folks. But in some ways, when you're a nonprofit, you have to make that choice from the beginning. Do you want to kind of outsource your donation process to a third-party service, which is robust and has great features, or do you want to keep it in-house and make sure that you own all of your data, that you have it all on your website, on your server? So I don't know if I answered your question exactly, but that's kind of the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah, definitely you did. And I think another big one that I was hoping you would touch on is just how other organizations are generating revenue versus how you guys are, because that makes a big difference to the nonprofit organization who's trying to collect donations. So if you want to maybe explain the difference between those two things as well.
Yeah, with a third-party system, what they do is they basically handle all of the credit card fees themselves, and so you don't see any of those fees typically. And then they tack on a fee on top of the credit card fee, which is how they survive. That's how they make sure that they remain funded and viable. And so that's how they make their businesses basically a monthly model, a subscription basically. And it's nice because you just pay one amount and you know that all the time that that's just there, and you can count on that and build it into your budget. With Give, it's different. Basically, we just charge for our add-ons, which is a one-time fee per year. And we don't take any of the revenue whatsoever. The only fees that you pay are directly to your credit card merchant. And so in the end, the fees that you pay monthly are a lot lower than with a third-party system. Because, for example, if you use PayPal Pro, they actually do have a monthly charge, but they have a lower rate for nonprofit organizations. Stripe, for example, doesn't have a monthly charge at all. They only charge 2.7%, I think, 2.7% plus 30 cents or something like that. And so that's what you would pay per donation always. And that's just between you and the credit card merchant. We don't touch any of that stuff whatsoever. So the way that we remain sustainable and viable is the sales of our add-ons. And of course, we're more than just Give. We have lots of other add-ons, plugins as well, that we're staying viable from.
Awesome. And so how much can someone do with just the free version of Give? Can they install that and start collecting, or are there going to be some add-ons that they absolutely have to purchase before they can collect anything through their website?
No, absolutely not. Like that's a big important thing that's part of being on the WordPress repository. The plugin is totally, fully functional. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Maya really needs to talk to you, Matt.
Yeah, that's our spam line, basically.
Oh.
Yeah, so Give is totally functional right out of the box. The payment gateway options you have are PayPal Standard and offline donations and test donations. So PayPal Standard does have the downside of it is going to kick you over to the PayPal website in order to finalize the transaction, and that's just the nature of a service provider like PayPal. But if you want to keep users on your site and collect credit cards on your site, then you're going to need to get an add-on. But all the robust reporting, all of the email notifications, all of the user management, donor management, all of the donor history, all of those things, being able to have limitless forms and form archive pages, categories, tags, all of that is all built into the free plugin. So we really wanted to make, in this way, we kind of really followed the WooCommerce model. WooCommerce is a really robust e-commerce solution that's totally free. A lot of people feel like they have to have a lot of add-ons in order to do e-commerce the way they want to with WooCommerce. But nevertheless, the free offering right out of the box is robust and awesome. And that's the same model that we went for as well.
Awesome. So moving on from the plugin itself, I'm sure in this process of building the plugin, you've learned a lot about the nonprofit world. So thinking about our small businesses and people who are starting their own charitable organizations, what are some things that first-timers need to know? Like, what do you need to do before you can start collecting donations through your website? Are there steps you need to follow? Are there rules and regulations for this? You know, how does that work?
It depends which country you're in. we have users all over the world. So for now, I'll just speak to U.S. Folks. But basically, in the U.S., we're really loosey-goosey when it comes to accepting money for free. There's really not a whole lot of regulations as long as you actually report it. But that's actually a good point, an interesting point. Actually, with Give, and with PayPal Standard even, there's a way in which you can say, there's a setting that says, let's designate these funds as a normal payment instead of as donations. Because it can get a little bit tricky if you start receiving more than, I think per year, it's more than $10,000. If you receive more than $10,000 in donations, but you're not a nonprofit organization, it can get a little bit tricky there. But if you're a fully certified 501c3 and you're accepting donations, then you're good to go. You get Give set up and running, and you're good to go. We just actually had a guy named Mark who works with ServerPress. I don't know if you saw some of the story behind that. He wanted to help out a homeless woman and her children that he stumbled onto in his neighborhood. And he was like, she needs some help. So he installed Give. And in 24 hours, he raised almost $2,000. And over 6 days, he raised over $3,000 just by installing the free plugin. He didn't do any add-ons or anything, just used PayPal Standard. And he totally helped her out a bunch. So
that's awesome. I love that story. That is really awesome.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, you can't just get up and going and running right away. If you're trying to do a big campaign and really try to raise a lot of money, then there's a lot more considerations to take into mind. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you're going to take in a lot of money, maybe talk to your accountant first and
make sure
what you need to be prepared for tax time.
Yeah.
And so is Give only for nonprofits? Are you seeing businesses or freelancers or anyone else using the plugin for something outside of the nonprofit world?
Yeah, no, it can be like Mark, he's not a nonprofit at all. He just was trying to help somebody out. We've had bands inquire about Give who say, we want to produce a new record. We just don't have the funds yet. We have a good following of folks. Can we use Give to raise money to do our next record? And I say, absolutely, yeah. That totally works. We do see folks, freelancers definitely are using them. Actually, Sarah Pressler is using it on her new venture called Optimalist. And they're trying to do some fundraising in order to support their development of their new plugin. And that's going great, it seems like. So basically, it's good for anyone who wants to just bring in some extra income for what they're trying to do. And yeah, we've seen it used in a lot of different ways. Our primary users that are really leaning on it a lot and really trying to make a lot of donations are definitely 501c3s, though. So there are our meat and potatoes core audience.
And what's been your favorite application so far?
Well, I'm actually working on one with SoundPress, just because it really showcases all the ways that you can use Give. There's a couple. Mark's was really great just because it was so simple. He didn't really do it he didn't style Give in any fancy way at all. He just put up a simple page and saw an immediate return based on the fact that there was a need. So I love the stripped down, really simple examples. But I'm working on one for an orphanage, and they have lots of ways that they want people to give to them. And so I built out the archive page to show 4 different forms where you can go and go to a donation form to give in different ways. And then they have like drop off clothes. Like, that's not a monetary donation, and you don't really necessarily want to process that through Give necessarily, although you could, because we have the offline donations option. But so underneath the Give forms, there's other forms that other ways that you can give to that organization, and it just highlights how robust you can use the archive page and go into the single pages. It's a really great one. Another one is I have some friends who are going through, who have some really high medical needs suddenly that were kind of forced on them in a serious way for their daughter, and they're needing to raise money every single month to pay for her medical expenses. And we just put together a quick one-page form with Give right at the very bottom, and made a big plea, and we're emailing folks and friends about that, and that's been going really well as well. And it to me, it just the simplicity of the plugin really makes it excellent, and the flexibility to do something larger as well is also what I think is excellent.
That's awesome. And you can also set, I think I saw this on the website, you can also set recurring donations, correct? You can.
Not quite yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're working on it. Recurring donations is a serious challenge. And we're actually working really closely with Pippin Williamson from Easy Digital Downloads, because his recurring payments is going to be really similar to ours. And so we're basically working on the same code base right now. In the same repo. Devin's committing to it regularly, and we're chatting in Slack regularly in order for his to be kind of taken up to the next level, and then ours would kind of come from that in a lot of ways. So, but we're hoping that will be released this month. That's our plan. So
that's awesome. Well,
yeah,
I think that's going to be a huge one for people, because getting that interest once to make a donation is hard enough. If you can keep them coming in regularly, then I can see that being incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Recurring donations is really also what they consider to be best practice. Mm-hmm. For us, it's basically just been a matter of, we don't want to just actually doing recurring donations with PayPal is really simple. And we easily could put out something that would do recurring for PayPal, and that'd be fine. But that's not our style. We want to make sure.
The hard way.
Yeah, we're like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it all the way. This is going to be robust. It's going to be awesome. It's going to really be effective and powerful, and we're not going to push it out until it does all those things. So.
That's awesome. So one last question here. Are there any just really unique or strange or surprising applications that you've seen where you've gone, I never even thought our plugin would be used for that?
It's more like there's some really strange nonprofits out there. This one it's not strange, but it's just something I never really considered in the first place. One of our early adopters is a guy named Greg Mount, and I try to keep in touch with him through our support forum and everything, because he's been great in supporting us. And the first project that I saw Give on from him is called Save Korean Dogs. And the name just really, I was like, I don't understand what's going on. But he built a beautiful site for them, and Give is doing really well, and they have like a great goal there, and it's tracking the goals really well. And but it's basically about the idea that they eat dogs there, and they don't want to do that anymore, so they're having a campaign to stop eating dogs, basically. No. And to me, it just struck me as like, wow, I mean, that's important too. That's great. Like, it just it threw me a little bit of a curveball.
That's interesting. Yeah, not something that we really think about a whole lot here.
Yeah.
Very good. So people that are interested in Give, where can they find it?
GiveWP.com.
And where can they find you if they want to ask questions about Give or some of your other plugins, or just follow up on some of the awesome things you talked about today? I'm actually on the live chat on GiveWP.com most days of the week. So there's a live chat there, or just we're kind of everywhere on Facebook and Twitter at wordimpress.com, or at wordimpress, or we also have a Twitter and Facebook page for Give. Twitter is GiveWP. So awesome. I didn't know you were manning the live chat. Now when I can't get you on Facebook, I know where to go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. I am so excited about what y'all are doing over there. You have some amazing plugins that have been coming out, and I think Give is something that meets a huge need in our industry, and also just for nonprofits to be able to have more control about how they're collecting donations, and being able to just keep everything on one platform. So I think it's awesome, and I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for your time, and you have an awesome day.
You too. Thanks so much, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and go download Give, buy some extensions for it to support these guys. Have an awesome day.